What is mental health? Mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. It also helps to determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. Mental health is important at every stage of life, from childhood and adolescence throughout adulthood. Let's define emotional. It's an arousing or characterized by intense feeling. What happened to cause the source of that emotion? Did you cry, laugh, or sigh? Psychological. Of affecting or arising in the mind, related to the mental and emotional state of a person. Had you thought of an issue that keeps you repeating it repeatedly? Or just a passerby that made you think back of a loved one, the loss of a job, money, or even a pet that you had when you were young? What does well-being mean to you? Well-being is the experience of health, happiness, and prosperity. It includes having good mental health, high life satisfaction, and a sense of meaning or purpose. Social well-being can be defined as the sharing, developing, and sustaining of meaningful relationships with others. This allows you to feel authentic and valued and provides a sense of connectivity and belonging. So please explain to me that how your everyday activities are considering you to have a mental issue, when they are saying you need these things to be in existence in your daily life. But on the other hand, they say the lack thereof also states you may have a mental issue. Some say if you tend to linger at an area of life, you could be considered manic depressive. Even though manic depressive can also be considered of someone who had experienced the death of a loved one. You tend to think about that person during holidays, birthdays, or even watching the television, a memory that was embedded in your mind. Over the course of life, if you experience mental health problems, your thinking, mood, and behavior could be affected. Many factors contribute to mental health problems, including biological factors such as genes or brain chemistry, life experiences, as previously suggested, such as trauma or abuse, family history of mental health problems, mental carried out by or taking place in the mind. It is not your normal everyday activity. So each action we are taking should be more like acting out a thought of your mind activity. Were you depressed before you started doing what you were doing? Did you seem fearful when you looked at the outcome? Was it an accomplishment that gave you energy, peace, or even powerful visions that may come in mind? When growing up, you must experience life by going through something, and even though it may hurt or leave a scar, you are able to achieve a sense of awareness that gives you the knowledge to deal with other things from then on. It didn't make you giddy or even explosive in words and deeds. We all need to learn that others are stated, even dictated by others who are around them. Just because a parent may have had an illness, it does not mean that you or even down the generations may obtain it. Just the reality of being a product of someone who thinks that they know how you are to live based off someone else. But that's still not true. You know God is the author and finisher of your faith. You can take steps to direct your life. Don't just let someone tell you that change is not for you, because you can change. It makes you wonder about those who are in science. You may be far-fetched to think about decisions they are making. But if you throw an equation in it, then you are a scientist or a professor being able to teach someone else. So ask yourself, how can they get away with it without being called bipolar? I've seen, researched, and can fully get the gist of it. My experience shows someone who can label a person all we want, but maybe they are not fully understood. Before you keep going to those who just in it for the medication, take the time to see what they think or like. Maybe they don't want to be around a lot of people. Giving them time to think about a position that could have been offered, or seeking a new location for growth of economy. So I ask you again, how is that mental? The one question I have asked was the Sigmund Freud theory, as he was supposed to be a genius and then wanting to create a bucket list or even a zoological safari. One would say you must be crazy to do something like that. Is it dangerous? Among other things, you find yourself being questioned about actions. I could not even understand lifestyle, just things questionable. Most people with mental illness are not violent, and only 3 to 5% of violent acts can be attributed to individuals living with a serious mental illness. In fact, people with severe mental illness are over 10 times more likely to be victims of violent crime than that general population. You probably know someone with a mental problem and don't even realize it, because many people with mental health problems are highly active and productive members of our communities. mentalhealth.gov. So how are they a threat to themselves and others? Not unless you see a form of threatening, a weapon, or an act of attempt to harm someone. Even though the most civil person could also have an issue, could it be the fact of wanting to fraud someone, but society has given you insight about the actions of mental health? So when they begin acting out what was in the thoughts, some call it preparation or acting things we don't understand.